Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. It's great to see you today. Today, you are going to learn how to make a great first impression. This webinar is brought to you by MCSC Women's Business Center and generously sponsored by Union Bank. We are a nonprofit business center serving entrepreneurs in SLO, Kern, and Monterey counties. We provide support to individuals looking at self-employment as a viable option. We help startups and existing small businesses meet with mentoring, entrepreneurial training courses in English and Spanish, and classes like this. Our consultants can help you with budgeting, marketing, social media, website development, HR, and tax planning. Basically, if it's a business need, we can help you with it. Our contact information is on the screen, and I'll put it in the chat box shortly. I would like to thank Kenis Dunne for presenting today. Kenis has more than 30 years corporate communication experience with private sector, nonprofit, and high-tech companies. She's a trusted advisor in marketing and communications content development. She's known for strategic thinking and excellent written communication skills, as well as the ability to transfer her know-how into training and mentoring for others, which is what she's doing here today. Kenis is the owner of Kenis Dunne Editorial Services, and she's also an MCSC consultant. That means that after this webinar, if you want to work with her one-on-one at no cost, you can do that. You just need to let us know. And you can contact us with the contact information I'm going to put in the chat box later. If you'd like mentoring for your business with any of our consultants, simply ask. We're happy to help. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind you of a few housekeeping details. Please limit your distractions and mute your phone. Your microphone is muted and your camera is off. So you'd like to participate, please enter your information in the chat box and we'll get to your questions when it's appropriate. The webinar is being recorded and I will send you the recording link after the webinar is over and the recording's been processed. So I wanted to take a quick poll just to find out how we reached you so we can continue to do so. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. It's 30 seconds. Please take the poll. All right, without further ado, I hand you over to Kenis. Hi, Kenis.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Get that going. All righty. Am I sharing screen correctly?
You're looking good.
All righty. So thank you for coming. I'm very excited to talk about elevator pitches. It's a tool, communications tool I've been working with for a number of years. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about it. What is an elevator pitch? How is it used? Traits of a good elevator pitch, and then a couple samples to show you, how it works. And then we're going to walk through the steps to creating an elevator pitch. We're going to step it out, and then we will have a few breakouts to let you sort of go on the side, work on your parts of the pitch, and we'll share if you're willing to share, and we'll kind of work through that. So Barbara alluded to chat. If you, of course, if you have a question for each of us, or there's a problem you want to direct to one or both of us, use the panelists chat pull down. But otherwise, if you're going to share, and I hope you do how your drafts of each of your elevator pitch parts, do that if you don't mind, do that in the chat for all attendees so everyone can see what everyone else is doing. And I'll be watching at that.
Kenis, I wanted to let you know that we can see your notes. So I don't think we're seeing the version that you want.
How about that way?
There we go.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. All righty. So we're going to go jump in on elevator pitches. And I wanted to start with a cautionary case in point, or as I like to think, an elevator pitch gone bad. And this is a story that it makes me chuckle, and it's a really good example of taking time to do a good elevator pitch. So the gentleman that I'm going to talk about, his name is Brian Christie. He blogs a lot, and he had a whole story a while back about elevator pitches and how to use them. And I really enjoyed his information, and I loved this story. So I'm going to share it with you now. So Brian was, the story's a couple, well, by the story, you'll know how old it is, but he is or was the CEO of a tech startup called Brainsly. And he talks in this blog about, he had an advisory board he was a member of, and they would meet periodically at different offices. And he's going to one of their advisory board meetings, and he gets to the offices, and there's all this security around and a very different vibe than he was used to. And so he went up and, asked what's going on. And someone told him that, well, we have a special guest coming to your board meeting today. Well, okay. So he went up to the, up over to the board meeting, and sitting in a tremendous amount of security, and sitting in there is President Barack Obama. And he has come by surprise to meet with these tech CEOs and learn a little bit about what they're incubating, and, you know, give them give them his opinion and hear about what they're doing. So he went around the room and introduced himself. Of course, that really wasn't necessary, but shaking hands, saying hello to everyone. He gets to Brian, turns to Brian, and he probably asks this of everybody else, but Brian's version of it is he turns to him and says, so Brian, what do you do? And Brian has his elevator pitch ready, and he says, well, sir, we offer software as a service to enable any individual or organization to create a white label expert calling network that will monetize their social network. And the president paused and then asked a second question and said, so Brian, can you tell me that in plain English? And, you know, we can all imagine, first of all, talk about high stakes. You know, it's the president of the United States, probably doesn't get much higher than that. But that could happen to anybody if you don't have a good elevator pitch. There's a good story. There's a good ending to the story because he did start anew and was able to, you know, take it down a notch and actually talk about what he did. But you don't usually get a second chance with an elevator pitch. It usually is kind of one and done. So really important that, you know, you make it the best it can be. So moving on. So elevator pitch, what's the big deal? So a couple things to know. An elevator pitch, some people don't like the term elevator pitch because it implies you're selling something, and that isn't necessarily an effective way to interact. So you often will hear it called an elevator speech. But in either case, the point is that it's very short, 45 seconds or so, really not more than a minute. And you're going to use it to share your expertise and your capabilities quickly, typically with someone you've not met before. It's important, and we're going to go through this, that everything you do is you're trying to aim for almost an emotional connection with the audience, whether that's a customer or a client, a recruiter, you know, it depends on where you're using it clearly. And you're always trying to think about that audience. And then you're trying to answer the question that they haven't asked, but you're trying to answer the question of what's in it for me or what's in it for them, your audience. And if you do it right, it's compelling and it's memorable. I think those are the most two important things. They stay with you, they listen, they make eye contact, they take away what you've told them, and they recall it later and refer to it later. So in the real world, elevator pitches are used for, you know, any number of things. And here are some examples. You're building a network, landing a job. Somebody said they use their elevator pitch first day on the job, brand new job. You know, you're wandering around meeting people, and sometimes it can be nerve-wracking. Use your elevator pitch. Someone else jokingly said you could use your elevator pitch in a speed dating situation, I guess, you know, your first pitch out. But you know, it's just multi-use. There's multi-uses of it. You can, I will say, and I'm going to show a little example. I'm in communication, Barbara said that, and I wrote a book and published it, and I had to work on my marketing. And the first thing I did was to create my elevator pitch. And then from that, like a lot of communication strategists will do, they start to build from the elevator pitch. It gets bigger and broader and audience specific, and it's part of a larger messaging framework. So it has all kinds of uses. Like it says here on the slide, and I did this too, once you have an elevator pitch and you really nailed it, you'll start to find it's very easy to repurpose it for your website, for a bio, for an impromptu presentation where you have to introduce yourself, your LinkedIn profile, back of a business card, many places. So it's a great tool to have when you're building your business and marketing it. So what makes a good elevator pitch? So I picked the traits that I think are the most important. They're not really in any order actually, but just, yeah, they're not even alphabetic. So first of all, it should be brief, but mentioned that already. You know, when spoken, it should be no more than 45 seconds. It should be crisp all the way through, but for sure have a crisp stop and a crisp start and stop. Genuine, you know, just like everything you do in good interpersonal communication, it should reflect you, your point of view. It should match how you typically communicate about yourself and your business. It should feel genuine to you and to the person receiving it. It should be compelling. Compelling and memorable, those are the two that I keep referring to. You know, it should spark the customer, client, the listener's interest in you and your work. Should be relevant. You know, you got to think about, always thinking about your audience, your listener. You're going to focus on traits, features, and benefits that are relevant to them, less about you, even though it is your elevator pitch, and try to everything focused on what would appeal to them and what they need to see and hear. Seamless. So you should be very comfortable with your elevator pitch or speech to the point that you can relay it without hesitation. You know it in your sleep. And I'll talk a little bit more the sort of the evil side of that and get you in trouble, but it should be seamless, should be just very comfortable and easy to listen to. Timeless is my way of saying, I'm going to make an exception first, though. If you're in an industry that has its own language, like for instance, I work a lot with people in HR, and they tend to have a different way of talking about their programs and their value in that, and you're part of that industry, go ahead and speak in their language. It just makes you more compelling and more relevant. But if you aren't in that industry, don't force it, or don't try to be trendy, don't try to mimic their jargon, their nomenclature, because it will come off as disingenuous. So don't, if you, when in doubt, plain speak, conversational, don't try to be trendy. And then lastly, memorable. I referred to that before. It really needs to stay with them after you've parted ways. I like to think of it as, you're in an elevator, speaking of elevators, and someone walks in and they have cologne on, and then they get off and the cologne sort of stays there with you. That's what the elevator pitch should do. After you get off the figurative elevator, your elevator pitch should stay with them, so it's memorable. And I'm assuming if you have questions, you'll ask, so I'll just move forward. Okay, so creating your elevator pitch, 6 ingredients. There's a woman named Megan Barnhart, who's a communications consultant in the Central Coast, and she talks about elevator pitches in the context of networking. And I really like what she says when she equates an elevator pitch to a recipe, and and that the parts of the elevator pitch are the ingredients. And I really like that because if you're hosting dinner and you're the chef, or you have a restaurant, the chef, you have a recipe, you use it, you follow it, it's yours, but you also typically can customize it. So if you have guests in your home and someone doesn't like parsley, which my children don't like parsley, so I always use that example. So you take parsley out of the recipe for that evening. And I like the thought that that's what you would do with an elevator pitch. You have your framework and your foundation, but you will adjust it to the audience or the scenario or the situation. So it's not so fixed that you can't, maneuver and meet the needs of the audience at that time. Okay, so I'm going to go through these and we'll talk a little bit about them. And then that's what we're going to work on when we go into the breakout sessions. You're going to go into single person breakout sessions and go off for 5 minutes or so. And we're going to do them in sets of 2. So, but first I'm going to go through each of these ingredients. And the first one is, what do you do, or what do you offer? So basically you're going to set the stage by positioning yourself, which makes sense. It's probably the only time you're going to speak completely about yourself. And then you need to establish for whom. Who is your service, product for? Who are you targeting? When you have this elevator pitch in mind and you imagine the perfect listener, reader, buyer, you need to articulate what that is so you can make your elevator pitch compelling to that same group. For what purpose? So you have why are you doing this? Why are you in business? You want to try to think of that in terms of the audience, the customer, the client. What will they gain by working with you and buying your product or buying your product? Again, how will you solve a problem for them? So you want to be focused on the purpose in terms of their value. And then how especially, because this is like your secret sauce. So what do you uniquely bring to this scenario that makes you qualified to do so? What's your specialty? What's different? And then future promise. So what is the promised outcome for your customer or audience for having known you, used your services, bought your product? And then bridge questions. So bridge question or questions is a pointed question that you would ask of your listener or audience that compels them to want to learn more. So it's the little hook or the bridge, as we call it that, that pulls you into the next conversation, hopefully, or interaction. And if you have more than one target customer or audience, which a lot of people do, you would maybe create a bridge question for each and use those by situation, whatever situation you're in, whatever means of communication you're using. So what do you do or offer? For whom? For what purpose? How especially? Future promise, and a bridge question. And those are the ingredients to a good elevator pitch. All right. I'm going to give you a few pointers, and I'm sorry that this is so text heavy, but I'll talk through it. So each of those ingredients that I just went through, you're going to work on them and you're going to revise them and revise them. You're probably going to start, typically you would start broadly. And what you want to do is force yourself to keep zooming in or double clicking down to get to the most specific statement, or if it's an action that you can create. So a couple of examples here. You as probably a marriage and family counselor usually does specialize in some area. So you wouldn't say, hi, I'm Kenis Dunne. I'm a specialist in marriage and family counseling, if in fact you had more to say about that, more specificity. And so it would be better, if this is, of course, if this is the case, to say, hi, I'm Kenis Dunne. I'm a marriage and family counselor for adults, adolescents, and young adults who've experienced trauma. So you're able to get down to the true audience and their needs versus what you do. Another example, serving home buyers in San Diego County. So it's really tempting to throw that wide net, cast that wide net, but it isn't effective if in fact you have a specialization that you would target to. So in this instance, we changed it to, or it would be better to change it to serving first-time home buyers in San Clemente, which actually happened to be her specialty. For what purpose? This can be a little bit challenging, articulating primary value, the benefit of the deliverable, but just keep trying to remember that you want to express how you help solve the problem for your audience, your customer or client. Bridge questions, which I just mentioned, they can be optional. You can see them as optional. I've seen them work really well at the start of a presentation, or the start of an elevator pitch or speech, and I've seen them work as a closing. Sometimes you'll see them more often in written form if that's applicable, but it's situational and you'd make a decision. I just want to say that I've seen them when they're kind of corny, you're forced. And if that feels like it, if it feels like you're forcing in a bridge question, don't use it. You don't want to seem corny. You don't want to seem forced. You want to seem conversational. So you can pick and choose when to use them. And then lastly, it's so important when you're working on an elevator pitch that you practice it a lot. And remember I said sort of like the devil, the negative part can be, if you practice it so much that it sounds like you're reciting it, then that's not a good elevator pitch. You want it to be paced and you want to sound conversational. So you got to find the balance between, knowing it like the back of your hand, but also not just rattling it off because that won't be effective. All right, so we're gonna go into I'm gonna show you some sample pitches. And the one point I want to make is that I think I hope it goes without saying, but you create these 7 different parts, these ingredients, and then you move it into a conversational presentation. You wouldn't just string them together, and call it an elevator pitch, but you got to start somewhere, right? So you're going to start with these ingredients. So this is that realtor I mentioned. So what we got her down to is, what do you do or what do you offer? I'm a realtor specializing in the San Clemente housing market with 15 plus years experience. I think she should have said I'm a realtor with 15 plus years experience specializing in the San Clemente housing market, because I think that's grammatically not correct, but you get the idea. For whom? Home buyers and sellers in the entry-level housing segment. She's got a specific target that she's good at. She should call it out. For what purpose? Why are you doing this? What are they going to get? What's the problem you're going to solve? The purpose, to make the buying experience informed and easy, especially if it's their first purchase. How especially? Remember, that's that secret sauce. So in her case, she felt confident that she was a better realtor for having been a teacher prior. So she said, how especially? My teaching background gives me the ability to break down the complex buying and selling process into a friendly experience for all. Future promise. What are they going to get? I will take the pain and uncertainty out of your home buying and selling experience. And then her bridge question, she targets both sides of the aisle, buyers and sellers. So her bridge question for her buyers is, are you holding back from taking the leap into home ownership? Remember, they're mostly first-time buyers. The leap into home ownership due to fear of this crazy seller's market. And for her sellers, do you know that research and data can help guide the selling journey in this chaotic real estate market? So you can start to see how she's forming her story, which would end up to be around about 30 or 45 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go to a product. Now, this is my product. So remember I mentioned that I wrote a book. So, and I worked on an elevator pitch. So I'm going to show you my elevator pitch, which has taken me through many different kinds of communications. All right, so again, what do you do? What do you offer? I'm the author of the gift book, The Good, the Bad, the Mother-in-Law. For whom? So I'm targeting mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. For what purpose? What are you going to do for me? Via storytelling, I share cautionary tales and inspirational reflections to help ease the often tricky dynamics of the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship. How especially? For the last many years, I've collected stories told to me by aghast and happy daughters-in-law, some mothers-in-law too, written in my own quirky and lighthearted writing style. Future promise. Mothers-in-law and daughters must read for mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law who hope to learn the value of communication, respect, and seeing things from one another's perspective. And my bridge questions, I too target both the daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law. So my bridge questions for the mothers-in-law are: in trouble already with your daughter-in-law? Grandkids just around the corner? And for daughters-in-law, is monster-in-law your new favorite term? Wondering how to establish boundaries? So those are the parts of my elevator pitch. So what I'm going to show you next is, so I'll read it, but all together now, how do you craft it together? So I'm imagining that I'm speaking to daughters-in-laws. So that was my bridge question. So I'm going to start off by saying, is monster-in-law your new favorite term? Wondering how to establish boundaries? Hello, I'm Kenis Dunne. I'm the author of The Good, the Bad, the Mother-in-Law. It's a gift book for mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. Using storytelling, I share cautionary tales and inspirational reflections to help ease the often tricky dynamics of that relationship. I collected stories told to me by aghast and happy daughters-in-law, and some mothers-in-law too, written in my own quirky and lighthearted writing style. It's truly a must-read for mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law who hope to learn the value of communication, respect, and seeing things from one another's perspective. So that's a little more conversational than what I had before. Okay, so we're going to turn to having you guys try to create your own elevator pitch, but I want to stop first and give you a perspective on the no jargon. Remember, I said up top, it should be timeless. Don't use jargon unless you really know your audience. So there's a singer-songwriter in the, Michael Gaither is his name. I used to work with him when I was at Cisco. And he does many things, but he's a local DJ with one of the radio stations here. But he's a really good songwriter and singer. And he has the song he wrote called Best in Breed Romance, and he's making fun of corporate jargon in it and how much jargon we use in some of these high-tech companies in the Valley where I used to live. And so I just found his song lyrics so charming that I wanted to share them with you. And I'll read them out loud, but I just wanted to show you a really good example of really bad jargon. So he goes like this. It's a much longer song, obviously, but this is just one part of it. He was smitten. He was shy. Then one day he strategized a plan. He talked to her in language that she could understand. He said, I'd like to engage in a dialogue to disrupt our current social paradigm, synergize our priorities. I want to be your top of mind. Your call to action, if we align, is a proof of concept so divine. Let's share a swim lane, take a chance on a low risk, high yield, artisan quality, best of breed romance. So he packed those 3 paragraphs with virtually every piece of jargon that you could want. And that's what we want to avoid. I mean, it's fun, and it makes me laugh, but you don't want to talk in jargon. Just wanted to make that point, to be business, nice and plain speak. Okay, So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first two. What do you do or offer, and for whom? And I want to ask you to, Barbara's going to time us. We're going to take 5 minutes. I won't talk over it, and just see if you can jot out the start of your elevator pitch. And as you do that, go ahead and share into chat if you're willing to, so we can look at what you're doing. And if you have questions, ask them in there. Does that make sense? And Barbara, you want to start the timer?
All right.
Okay.
It is 12:27. So just
Wow.
5, huh? So. All right, 12:32.
All righty. And then I want to see chat. How do I do that?
So go ahead, everybody. And then if you want to share what you've done, when you're done with it, we're happy to have you share. This is a judgment-free zone. We're here to help you get better, not to make fun of what you've done. So we're all here to support you. Are you able to see the chat, Kenis?
No, I'm just looking for it right now.
Your screen share may be preventing you from seeing it.
Oh, there it is, chat. It just was hidden.
Okay.
Okay. What are you seeing on screen right now?
Your screen and all of your slides on the left.
Oh, yeah, I should leave that up. Was I talking slow enough?
Yes.
Good.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to get off screen so I'm not a distraction.
Okay.
Kenis,
Yeah.
we can actually allow them to talk by going
Oh,
to
super.
attendees. So if you want to read them, I will allow the ones you're reading to talk, and if they want to, they can.
Yeah, let me, these are some great ones, by the way.
Yeah, they
I
really
would
are.
say that the only thing I would say is that if you can, you want to try to clarify, remember this is for whom. So if you can narrow down the client or customer, do so. A good example, I'll just read one because a really good example of that is from Anjali. I am a folk herbalist who makes organic herbal body products for families who just desire simple, natural ingredients for health, safety, and wellness. So established who she is. I'm assuming Anjali is a female. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Established who she is, what she does, and identified who her target customer is. That's a really good example. Does someone want to read theirs out loud? Because it's always better if the person themselves reads it. If you, Rochelle, raise your hand. Can we
Okay.
unmute her?
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Okay, I do relaxing and therapeutic body work for women in need of relief from physical or emotional pain.
Good, perfect. You said what you do. I mean, obviously we would all say our names, by the way, ahead of that, but you said establish what you do and offer or offer and for whom. Great, great. Who else would like to share?
All right, Heather has her hand up. Go ahead,
Hey,
Heather.
She's having trouble.
Yeah, I just asked her to unmute.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I didn't see the pop-up. My name is Heather, and I'm a structural engineer with over 20 years of experience in the home building industry, with a focus on new homes, remodels, and additions.
Good, good. Is there a way to focus on the buyer, your buyer, like the owner, or, you know, that might be that if you could do that, and sometimes you can't, and I get that, that would actually make it a little more spot on, a little more specific to the person, the client versus the activity. That'd be the only thing I would say if you could work on that.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right,
All right.
Celeste has her hand up.
Oh, hey, Celeste.
Unmute. Sorry that I was late. Okay, so I have offer is I'm Celeste Ben, and I have a yearly celebration site that offers free or discounted gifts, offers, promotions, and celebration the entire month of your birthday and the entire year for any other holiday you want to celebrate, for anniversaries, etc., Christmas, etc. The when or for whom, it's for any target audience in the United States. We're targeting the 24 to the 65 market. So people coming into their money and people who have money but want to save money.
Mm-hmm.
So buy one, get one free, etc. What's the purpose? It's
no, hold on. We're just stopping right there. We're just gonna do these for two. Yeah.
Oh, I was different when I was rushing. Okay.
yeah. And that's obviously you need to get that refined. You know, you're gonna edit down, but you've got the right components there. It sounded like at the first you were saying that your audience was someone on their birthday, or and I know that's not the case. So you might want to really get that refined to buyers who want to give, buyers who want to celebrate, or something like that. But you got it all there. It's just a little long. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I think
Gina posted hers. Gina, you don't have your hand up, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk if you want.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to raise my hand. I guess that didn't work. Thank you for picking me, because I definitely feel like I need help with refining this. So I'm an artist, educator, and activist, and I create gifts, decor, and wellness products with spiritual art of diverse people to promote equity and inclusion, serving progressive people of all ages and backgrounds who want equity and inspiration.
so. You're right. It's a little long, but it's all there, right? So it's a matter of maybe going back and thinking about your audience, your target audience, and seeing if there's any words in there that you could afford to lose, maybe, and then reinserting them or refocusing on them a little bit later in the pitch or later, not in the pitch. But you definitely give a good idea of what you do, and you've called out your clients. That's the most important part, but it probably end up being a little bit long, but that's the whole thing. We have to kind of keep going, moving down and editing it down and down to where it's just the right amount, not too little, not too much.
Thanks.
Okay. So then I don't believe we've heard from Tricia yet. Let me give her access.
And Nis is on there too.
Nis too, yes.
Hello.
Hi,
Sometimes my microphone doesn't work. Is it working?
it's
Yeah.
working.
You
Okay.
sound good.
All right. I did some refining since I posted.
Okay.
And I've been working on this since 2014. Sorry. Maybe I'll get it today. I'm a self-help author and workshop facilitator who uses my intuitive abilities to help people find clarity and direction.
So the only thing if you can get more specific about the need that people have, or, just there's any way that might be a part to work on, but it's actually quite good to help people. Is it all people? Is it people with people's, I know this isn't right, Trish, but I mean, if it was like people struggling with the pandemic, so if there's any way to clarify what they're going through in order that they are looking for clarity and direction, that would be great. That would be awesome. It may not be possible, but but it's a good one. Good.
Oh, so people looking for clarity and direction instead of saying to help people.
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're just wanting to keep focusing on their needs, making that emotional connection, their needs, their wants, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Barbara, do we have time for another one, or should we move back?
Yes, let's do Nis, because she's the only one we haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, okay.
Nis, you want to go ahead?
Sure. We're just doing the first two, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't know what to do after that.
No. We'll go talk about this.
Yeah, I'm Nissa, and I'm making rum American again for fun people that are looking for novel and nostalgic beverages they can feel good about.
Great one. And very compelling and kind of quirky too. Good for you.
I love
So Nis,
coffee.
you wrote beverage, but you said beverages. I'm just wondering which one is
Right.
it?
Well, eventually it'll be both.
Yeah.
So
All righty. Okay, so I want to get moving on to the next two, if you don't mind, unless I'm cutting somebody off.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you can see my screen. I don't need to, I can, oops. Okay, so we're gonna go down and we're gonna do the next two. So for what purpose? This is the why, with the problem you're gonna try to help them solve, and how especially. Now, a couple of you kind of included your secret sauce in your intro, and that's perfectly fine. I may have made the point that these are the ingredients of the parts, but that doesn't mean you have to sequentially do them. You can move them in and mix them in as you actually create that narrative. So that's absolutely fine to do. But how especially is your secret sauce? The specialty that you bring that makes you uniquely qualified. The realtor who was the teacher and felt that that's what makes her a better realtor, that kind of thing. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll read what you post as you post them. And since we have the ability to let you unmute yourself and you're willing, better yet, it's better to have your voices. We'll go through that. And so let's take about 5 minutes again, and Barbara will call us back at the right time.
Okay, at 12:45. And I also just wanted to mention that when you post, in the little drop down, you'll see post to all panelists or all panelists and attendees. So you just want to make sure you post to all panelists and attendees if you want everyone to see it. If you don't, then you don't need to do that.
Except you, Megan, we don't want you posting since you're in your car.
Hi, Megan. All right, 12:45. I'll be quiet.
No, I'm not giving you any more of that. The hot dog? Did you get my cheese? I'm sorry. I was eating this. Don't eat the, those are terrible.
Oh, that's okay.
I was just getting hungry. I wanted to eat something that was sort of keto-ish.
The air slams billionaires and generational wealth in her most recent speech 4 hours.
Okay, Barbara, are we ready?
Okay, 12:45 on the nose.
All righty. So we were going to focus on purpose and secret sauce. Does anyone want to raise their hand to share?
Or you can also say me in the chat box if you can't raise your hand.
Yeah.
Or I, if we want to be grammatically correct.
Okay, so Anjali has posted. Anjali, do you want to say yours out loud or do you want us to read it for you?
Let me give her the opportunity to talk here.
Okay.
There you go.
We got 4 people raise their hands now. All right, let's have Gina, maybe she want to say
Okay.
yours out
Let
loud?
me find Gina in my list.
Well, I'll read Anjali's while we're doing that. So we're just going to focus on the 2 that we just went with. So for what purpose? You will feel great about choosing my products for your family, knowing that everything from local herbs to 100% post-consumer recycling packaged to 5 ingredients or less was chosen with care. And she had her special sauce up in the top. So that's a purpose statement. It's a little long. I know we're doing this quickly, but what is the problem you're trying to solve? You'll feel great about choosing my products for your family, knowing that everything from the local herbs. So that's the problem she's solving. So that's a good one. Okay. Did you want to have? Who wants to? I'll leave you, Barbara, to identify.
Okay, so let's see, who else do we have? We have Gina.
And this.
All right, there's Gina.
Okay. To fill the need in the market for products that depict people of diverse backgrounds, and this is not grammatically correct, but with my expertise as an artist, educator, and activist who is a queer Latinx of African and European ancestry.
Good, really good.
Okay.
Yep, you got the problem to solve, and you have your secret sauce. That's good.
Oh, good.
Nice. Okay, let's go to Nis.
There's a party in your house.
Okay, I said, yeah, I was busy telling Celeste to bring the balloons. I'm making authentic American rum for fun people looking for novel and nostalgic beverages that they can feel good about. I'm an entrepreneur who fell in love with the romantic history of rum.
That's good, because you already identified the need up front when you said you're for whom is people, for what purpose, people who are looking for a novel to feel good about, and then your secret sauce, how especially is that you fell in love with the romantic history of rum or something in there. So that's a good.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing with. It's kind of.
It's not quite. I get it. It's not quite right, but
Yeah,
that is your. That's what makes you uniquely qualified, if you will. That you. Somewhere in there, I think you're close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for muting if you got background noise. Appreciate that. All right, does anyone else want to share, or we can move into the next one? All right, let's move into the next. Okay, and that is the future promise. What are they going to get? What do you get? You're not guaranteeing anything. I get that, but what are you promising them that they will receive, feel better about? And then your bridge questions. That's where you're going to try to compel them to want more. You're gonna tease them up so they want more. And then we'll come back in 5 minutes, which is 54, 12:54. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay, everyone, 12:54. We'll see you then.
Oh,
All right, Kenis.
okay. So I was reading the Anjali's, you could probably see me reading, literally out loud. First, but I wanted to see, did anyone want to read their last two Future Promise Bridge questions?
So you can either type I in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. Oh, we got some hand raises.
Yeah, and actually, at this point, you might just want to read the whole thing, and we'll see what you could read it out loud, and then, so look, I'll let you drive this boat there.
Okay, I'm trying to find where the hand raises are.
Yeah, I know it's hard to figure it out. I can see 5 people raise their hand. I can't see who they are.
Yes. Okay, so let's just go with the ones that are typed in there. So you want to start with the first one, and let me unmute her. And actually, Anjali, could you tell us how to pronounce your name? I feel like we're not doing it justice.
No, you guys are. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about before. My headphones weren't connected for some reason.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, Anjali is exactly right. I'm actually very impressed. So I'll start. Yeah, I've been building on this. This is really helpful. I'm Anjali Tierra, and I've been practicing folk herbal medicine for over 30 years. I make organic herbal body products for families who desire simple, natural ingredients for health, beauty, and wellness. You'll feel great about choosing Mystical Mama products for your family, knowing that everything from local herbs to 100% post-consumer recycled packaging to 5 ingredients or less was chosen with care. My preservative-free products are guaranteed for 6 to 9 months, and discounts are available to those who choose our reuse refill option. And I got really uncomfortable with the bridge question. That sounded so cheesy. Are you ready to try something new?
Yeah.
Like an infomercial.
If it sounds cheesy, you don't want to do it. Exactly.
Yeah, I do a lot of
there's more.
Yeah, I do vendor events. So it would be possible for me to say, here's a sample. I always have samples and testers out. So
yeah, that's a good. And the only pause I had on your Future Promise was my preservative products are guaranteed for 6 to 9 months. That almost felt like you that you took away from the one before. The sentence before had the future promise in it, you know. So
Yeah,
that was my only pause, that you might put that in or not put that in depending on your situation.
I agree. I can
Yeah.
have it on my label, but I don't need to like announce it.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of, it wasn't that, remember the snappy stop? That wasn't a snappy stop.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm sold. I'm sold. All right.
So
who else?
Kenis, let me just interject here. We're going to run out of time, and we have people who are making some great strides here and
Mhm.
getting some good work done. So I'm going to let us run a little bit over. I apologize
Okay.
to those of you who need to leave right at 1. You will get the recording so you can see the finished products, because there's some really good ones here today. And feel free to leave whenever you need to.
Yeah. And this is actually the last part of the presentation. So you're, so we're not cutting off other content. So that's a great idea.
Okay, are you ready to try something new? Let's see, that's all her. Okay, and I
Right.
believe Heather has something else.
Yeah.
So let me find Heather in my list. It'd be nice if it was alphabetical. There we are, Heather. All right, I've just asked you to unmute.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. I actually do have a call at 1, so I appreciate it. Okay, I am a structural engineer with over 20 years of experience in the home building industry, bringing new homes, remodels, and additions to families on the Central Coast. I collaborate extensively in the design process to get your permit quickly and your home built cost effectively. I'm not fond of my bridge question, but have you been thinking of adding on or building an ADU?
It's a great elevator pitch.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I know those bridge questions are tough, but and so that's why I said they're optional. But that is a fair question. Have you
Sure.
been thinking about this? And you got the ADU in there, so I don't think it's.
Is that too jargony, or does everybody know what an
It is,
ADU
you know,
is?
it feels jargony when we do it like this. Like, have you? But think of it, if say it were an email, it wouldn't be jargony. Just say, hey, I'm not reaching out to you. Do you have a question? Blah blah. I know it just situationally, but yeah, they're tough. But
Yeah.
didn't sound
No,
cheesy.
this is fantastic. Thank you so much. This has
you're
been
welcome.
like one of those hurdles that I've had a hard time mentally getting over.
I know, I get it.
Feel free to let us know if you want to work with Kenis at no charge. We're happy to set you up with her.
Oh,
yeah.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love
All
to
right.
do
Thank
that.
you so much, ladies.
Thank
Okay.
you. We got a little time for anybody else to share?
Yeah, let's go to Gina.
Okay.
Okay, I do not have the whole shebang all put together.
That's okay.
So I just have that end piece.
Yep.
Do you see yourself, all of your friends, or all of your family members on the decorated products you want to buy? Is there something you're looking for that you've not found in decorations and products? You get to see yourself or the diversity of the people in the world and represent yourself as a part of the activist movement to promote equity and inclusion.
And that's the future promise. Is that what you just did?
Yes,
That one?
I kind of did it.
Can you say it again? Can you say it one more time?
You get to see yourself or the diversity of the people in the world and represent yourself as a part of the activist movement to promote equity and inclusion. And obviously that needs tons of work.
Yeah. It's a little wordy, but no, you're told them what they'll get. That's what the future promise is. I do this and what do I get? What will happen to me? What will my experience be? So that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, bye, Tricia. All right.
I think that's all of the pitches that have been put in here.
Yeah.
We have some people who want to connect. So what a great audience you all have been.
Yeah, you've been very engaged, which is so nice.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to show?
No, not really. I mean, I was just going to re-summarize the different points. I'm happy to do that really quickly, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's, for the recording and nothing else. I'm having, oops, not what I want to do. Let's see if it will do it one more time. Down, down, down. Yeah, all right. So just want to remind you that the best elevator pitches, and we've heard some, are brief, under 45 seconds if possible, genuine. They reflect the way you talk and about the person you are and your story. They're compelling. They make a connection with the audience and they remember it. They're relevant to your audience. You're focusing on their needs and the problems they want to solve. Seamless. That's not what we worked on here today, obviously, but seamless. By the time you narrowed it down, you got your elevator pitch nailed, you can readily say it and you're comfortable doing so. Timeless, try to use plain speak, conversational tone, avoiding jargon, unless you have permission basically to use the language of that particular audience and you're comfortable with it. And last but not least, memorable. When they leave your presence, they remember that elevator pitch and they are wanting to come back for more. And so that is a good elevator pitch. And we had some great ones here.
Thank you. And that was a great presentation. It was
Thank
you
you.
guys are such a great audience.
Mhm.
Kenis is always a beautiful presentation. You really helped us narrow down our pitch. It was just fantastic. I wanted to also thank our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we would not be able to offer you this at no charge, and our services with our consultants at no charge. And those are the SBA, Wells Fargo, Pacific Premier Bank, and the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Our classes are on the screen, and I will put them in an email follow-up with the recording link. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day.